Writing, as mentioned earlier, is a very big thing in my life and a core part of my identity. I've been writing ever since I could hold a pencil and creating stories before then. Now, including LGBTQ plus characters in my writing didn't really come about until later on. I didn't really accept the LGBTQ plus community because while I wasn't hateful towards these people, I still found them to be odd, and growing up uneducated about them made me just feel uneasy around them. So, apart from making myself magically transition in the one story my sister and I played during elementary school, I lacked LGBTQ plus characters until one of my stories in high school. Even when I added representation in, it wasn't the best. It's embarrassing, and I'm still ashamed about the first character I had made. My friend and I created a gay character for the fun of it, and while he's still one of my favorite characters in that series, we often made fun of him, especially when he was with his lover. His lover ended up dying, but not him, I don't think. Either way, it wasn't good representation. The next story I wrote had very mixed views on LGBTQ plus rep. There were two main characters, one homophobic and the other gay, with his partner being one of the other important characters. This definitely made my audience feel uncertain, as they enjoyed the first main character until learning that she was homophobic. There was also mention in there of a story with a trans person in it, which the gay main character was supportive of the trans character in this little story, but the homophobic person was not. Funnily enough, the homophobic character was based off my friend who thought I was a lesbian and didn't want to date me, while both gay characters I had made were based off my own characteristics. While I didn't connect the dots just yet, the story was definitely a testing the waters kind of thing to see how my audience would react to having LGBT representation in the first place. In my next series, LGBTQ plus characters showed up later on. I had been trying to keep romance and relationships out of the series when I began it, but it inevitably snuck in by the end, especially as my viewpoints shifted. So, leading all up to this, I was definitely going stealth mode. It was during this series that I started coming out. Now, I did unfortunately use the representation in the series as a plot point, particularly with the main character being revealed as intersex and transgender. I suppose the representation was okay overall, but the series was dark fantasy and focused on fighting for human rights. This saw multiple races standing up for equality, but also LGBTQ plus characters, with the focus shifting to the queer characters more, as I realized that I shouldn't be the one writing a story about race. I did do my best to handle these subjects after the story had been started, but it would definitely have been something I would change if I ever were to rewrite that story for some reason. Anyhow, the story reflects my coming outness, acceptance, and fighting for the right to exist. While several LGBTQ plus characters did die, because a lot of characters died, I kept quite a few alive, which includes a lesbian couple and several non-binary people. While the rep wasn't the best, by the end of the story I did learn to accept myself and fight for others, and I also knew exactly what story I wanted to write next. When starting my next story, I wanted to write a fully LGBTQ plus cast during happier times, without a focus on wars like all my previous stories. I wanted some lighthearted fun taking place in an accepting world where being queer is the norm, and multiple races coexist, focused entirely on these colorful characters. I didn't want to write another coming out story full of struggle to just find acceptance by others. I wanted to just write something genuine. Thus, Rainbow Reflections was born. 3 sexes are recognized throughout most of the world, with it being male, female, and intersex, as it should be. There are usually 4 or 5 recognized genders of male, female, non-binary, gender fluid, or agender. And of course, transgender people are pretty much accepted. A lot of kids grow up with they-them pronouns until they know and choose their own gender. Most people are bi or pansexual, and plenty of asexual people exist. People can wear whatever clothing they want, and have any style they want, and their fashion expression does not reflect their gender. In terms of our main 4, who I will have depicted on screen here, from left to right, we've got Hyaktu, who is gay, gray sexual, and on the gender fluid side, though we see this more later on. Zin, who is the transgender and non-binary person, who is also asexual and aromantic, a nice little self-insert kind of reflection of myself. Ren, who is panromantic and demisexual, kind of gray sexual. And Sorella, who is a lesbian. When starting this series in 2020, I had come to accept myself even more. My characters have taught me a lot about gender, sexuality, and gender expression. I realized guys can be into feminine things, wearing makeup or dresses, without being gay or even bi. Girls can be super masculine, without being lesbian or bi. I got more comfortable with my own body. For example, I no longer care if my hair is short, and I actually prefer it being a little on the longer side. Like, not too long where I can't manage it, but definitely not super short like I had been wearing it before. I don't mind wearing shorts that go above my knees now, or low-cut tank tops. I simply don't feel a need to pass as male or non-binary. After all, there's no set definition of what non-binary should look like, and the whole point of being non-binary is so you can have any expression without feeling the pressure of looking male or female. Now, my characters taught me to accept myself, realize identities can change, and stop labeling and confining myself to a box. I can be free to experiment, and this has become more apparent over the years. I could have really used a series like Rainbow Reflections when I grew up. Seeing that being trans and asexual is completely normal, other genders exist, and that people can love whoever they want. I would have likely accepted myself a lot sooner, and I sincerely hope that Rainbow Reflections can be a guiding light to others.